Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Oh My Goodness podcast with me, your host, AJ Smith. I'm so excited today. Um, and when aren't I excited, honestly, about this podcast and sharing insights and goodness with you? I just got off a client call that has my heart so happy. Um, a lot of times we think when we are doing self-development, it has to be hard or weird or arduous or a difficult journey we got to overcome. And I just want to say that doesn't have to be true. Are there going to be hard moments? Absolutely. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but like it can be imbued with so much play and lightness and joy and surprising openness if you allow yourself, if you allow yourself. And so when I'm doing one-on-one calls, we're talking about play today. So let me just preface that, which I guess you see the title, so you know this. When I do my one-on-one work, when we're doing soul work, energy work, we tap in and your body holds memory, right? So your energetic body kind of has parts similar to IFS, but it's like these different energetic stuck points are like your parts and have personalities, pieces of you that are stuck or trying to help, but it's in different places of your body. So it's all intertwined, right? I think of it like a giant Venn diagram, and different people are different, but you can talk to these different parts of yourselves and say, hey, like, what's going on here? Can I help? And sometimes parts are angry or sad or overexcited. And sometimes they feel like researchers are super focused and they're like, I am too busy. Do you see these piles of paperwork? And sometimes it's like a little kid that's like, I got to make all the art that's possible. Like it's a whole spectrum, but you have whole worlds inside of you. You have whole worlds inside of you. And when you have spirit at your back, it's not like you alone. It's you in spirit being like, hey, what does a fully embodied version of you look like? And once you realize, oh my gosh, this is actually an exploration of what makes you you and how you want to expand, like it changes it from I'm broken and I'm bad to, oh, here's why I do the things I do. Do I want to keep doing that in that way? Or do I want to shift it? Do I want to expand? Do I want to create more capacity to hold the both and of things or to bring more joy or show up like what's holding me back? What belief is that, right? Because when we just do it in our brain, and this is my personal belief and what's worked for me and what's worked for my clients, is when we just do the mental game, like that's great and all. But if our body is like, absolutely not, and like bracing for impact, it's going to be really hard to integrate that into our lives because there's going to be a part of us that's always bracing and kind of like self-sabotaging. Does that make sense? Out of safety. So when you get your whole body online, my mind, body, spirit, emotional, the whole spectrum, it just becomes easier. It just becomes lighter. And then it's exponential. And I don't think everybody realizes that as you do this work, you get more tools. It's almost, I think I'm actually going to do this because I mentioned this to a client. Like, I was like, look at you go. Like, you're learning these energetic skills, right? Being able to tune in, being able to call up your taproot, your center point, spirit, in whatever way you call that, being able to like make that connection is a skill. That is a practice, right? Like, what do we say? It's a practice. Somebody should, I don't write songs, but I feel like that would be a good song. Like, it's a practice. What is it? It's a practice. Anyways, um, but there are skills that you can learn. And as you go, it's like layers. You can't get to the bottom layer until you've done some of the top work because you're not at that skill level yet. Like just like in a video game, you don't go to the final boss on level 1. You've got to learn how to pick up an acorn, or you got to like jump a barrel. Like you've got to learn the basics before you can do. And a lot of people are like, okay, but like, why do I fear success? And it's like, okay, Barbara, hold up, wait a minute. Like just there's layers here. Yes, that, but we've got to touch on the parts that just feel like about the idea of showing up visibly. We can't even tackle fear of success until we get to like some of those little parts of, am I okay with how I see myself, let alone other people seeing you? But do you see how like it's layers, like an onion, like an ogre? Um, and when we look at it from I'm broken and bad perspective, it's like, oh, this is going to take me forever, which it doesn't have to. Um, but we just get so beat down of like, oh, I have so much work to do. But like, if we bring play into it, it's like, oh my goodness, look at all these facets of me I get to explore. And sometimes things can happen like I have seen breakthroughs happen in minutes that people have been wrestling with for years. Like this work, it's not me. I am just a conduit for spirit showing up and doing cool ass shit. And if my parents are listening, sorry for swearing so much on this podcast, but I have very strong feelings about how cool spirit is working for people and with people. And sometimes things are layered. A lot of times things are layered in different ways. And we can be really hard on ourselves when we're like, oh my gosh, I did this already. I thought I learned that, I'm worthy of goodness, or, not everyone's going to leave, or whatever it is. But you learned that on one level, yes, but then you got to learn it on a deeper level. Like there's layers to these things. And like, different people have different skills, and some people can get to the root of something very quickly. It just kind of depends, right? So there's not a one size fits all. But if we come at this from an energy of play and, oh, I'm on an adventure and I'm trying this out, and this is the journey I'm on, versus this is the journey I have to be on because I suck as a human and I'm trying to be better. Like, God, I don't even want to go on that journey. And like, I'm going to be honest with you, that's how I started this journey of growth with like, maybe not entirely. Okay, that's like a half true statement. But a lot of my initial self-growth work and personal development was because I felt like I was broken and bad and couldn't do anything right. That was also a holdover from some religious stuff of how I was trained. And there was lots of good things I learned, right? Like God loves me and all that jazz. But like some of the inherent beliefs I got from it did some damage, if I'm going to be honest. And so a lot of my searching was, how do I be a good human? Not like, how do I not rob people? Like I'm saying, like, how do I be good on the inside? Like if I am bad, how do I be good? Does that make sense? Like the different way I'm asking that question, if like, if I'm broken and bad, how can I be okay? And there's a lot of different answers to that, right? Some people would say like you have to be saved. Other people are like everybody's sex, or we're both and the shadow and the light, or it's a nothing, like, Buddhist. I'm probably gonna get this wrong, so sorry if I'm chopping it up, or like detached from everything. And I don't know where I land on it now, but I do believe in the original blessing of when we were created. We were created to be in relationship with God. We were created to be in union with the divine, of co-creating this world, of being in the garden together. That we are all spirit breathed, and at the cornerstone of everything. And from all the pagans, Christians, atheists, everyone I've worked with, spirit has constantly shown up in whatever way works for them. And at the end of the day, their soul is good and spirit has their back. And so that's what I keep coming back to time and time again, of like, I don't know the answer to everything, but that's the resonating truth that has come through. And with that energy, there is hope, there is delight, there is joy, there is freedom, there is, instead of, there's space for when you trip over something and it's like, why did I do that again? Like, God, I wish I hadn't of like, oh yeah, that's because I get nervous about safety and I did. Okay, got it. Okay, here's how I'm going to do this next time. Or, oh, it's because I was exhausted and I didn't advocate for myself. So here's what I'm going to do next time. Versus, oh, I suck and I just did that again because I suck and but this is just how I'm wired. Like, I'm just so, honestly, I'm so sick of that game. I just don't have time for those conversations anymore. I just don't. I just don't. And I've gotten, I don't know, worse, better at calling it out when I'm with people and they're like, oh, it's just because I'm stupid or I'm an idiot. I'm like, can we just not? No. And I said it to a friend yesterday when she's like, oh, I'm so stupid. I did this wrong on the GPS. I was like, you're not stupid. You just hit the wrong button. She's like, no, I'm always an idiot. And I was like, no, you're not. You're actually very smart and capable. You just hit the wrong button. It's okay. She's like, well, you know what I mean. I was like, yeah, but also words are power. And you're my friend. We're not gonna say that language. So maybe that makes me annoying to be around. I don't know. But I'm just saying, if you're my client or if you're my friend, We're not playing that game anymore because the world's going to do it enough for us, and they're going to make it seem like we're never going to arrive at goodness or a place of peace because we're not good enough. And here's another thing, piece of this. This is about play, but apparently it's turning into so much more. Um, is that it's also a journey. We don't just arrive and one day we're like, it's good. It's like when my book came out and I'm like, I'm going to be a published author and everything's going to be great. But I was so burnt out. It wasn't even funny. And I was like, I don't even feel anything in this moment. I'm going to go to the woods. Oh my gosh. It was such a rough day. Um, and it's like we have this idea of like, we're going to achieve nirvana and just be good. And like, you know what? I think some people have achieved enlightenment. I love this for them. Like, you get it. Byron Katie, I love this. May we all learn what you know. And like the Dalai Lama, like, I don't know, but I'm curious. Like, let's keep moving towards goodness. And if we can find delight in the journey of this is why I'm here to grow and explore and be creative with our lives, these whole ass lives in these human bodies, like what? In these temples that we get, which can be whole journeys in and of themselves. I fell today when I was running. I ran off the path because I didn't have a light. And I was distracted. And I think I twisted my ankle. I don't know. It's throbbing. I should ice it. Um, but I'm hoping that I just tweaked it and it's okay. But um, but if we're just like, this is the journey and finding delight versus dread, God, that makes everything so much easier. Can you just taste that? Whether or not you've done energy work with me, we're going to pause for a second. I want you to think of the word delight. How does your body feel when you say delight out loud? Can you just say it? Delight. I like feel it in my body. It feels like it bubbles up like, oh, did you ever see that Santa movie, Santa Baby, with Tim Allen and the guy with curly hair that was in the Numbers movie show? And there's like hot chocolate and oh, I can't remember his name, but he has ears and freckles. And that's what it feels like. Is like bubbly, light blue, hot chocolate, like just goodness in my body. Dread. Ugh. It just feels like darkness, no pair. It just feels like sludge in my body. So can you see if that's how you feel with just the words? If you think your journey to becoming better is a dreadful one, how much that sucks versus one of delight and curiosity. Even if curiosity feels like a pandering weird cat that doesn't let go of things, can you still see how that's better on the spectrum than dread? Do you see how these things have energetic tastes and touch points? Even if you're like, I don't do energy, you can feel it in your body. Don't be weird. You know what I'm saying, right? Right? Okay. So let's explore this some more. This past weekend, I went to College of Wizardry. Oh, and I love good things. I love good people. I love creative people. I love people who make things. I love humans when they're in their creativity and exploring. And I love humans who are playing. Humans who are playing are my favorite humans in the world, whether they're 3-year-olds playing, they're 90-year-olds playing like poker, like I was about to say Catan, but it's just great. When we LARP, and if you listen to my episode last week with Zoe, who was phenomenal, and I got to see him this weekend, that was great. When we play, we open up avenues in our body to possibilities, right? Think about kids when they play pretend. What are they pretending? They're not pretending their reality, because if they were, they wouldn't be playing pretend. They're playing something else. They're living into and practicing another way of existing in the world. They are trying on for size what it's like to play bride and groom or cops and robbers or, okay, I'm taking over this spaceship and da maybe you're going to be an alien, whatever. Like they're expanding their viewpoint of what is possible for them through play. Tracking? Okay. We do the same thing when we build with blocks. We do the same thing when we write. When you are writing, you are putting new possibilities of phrases, ways of thinking, ways you're thinking into the tangible, real universe we live in. This might be too theosophical for some of you, but like, stay with me. When we do LARP, we are accessing new ways of us existing through a character. And seeing people do this weekend, we had a lot of almost half our player base this game was new people, which was so exciting. And I led the junior workshop, and I had juniors are the first year people. There's like 3 years. So juniors, sophomores, and then seniors are the old students. And so in our workshops before the game, I was like, hey, raise your hand if this is your first time at College of Wizardry or your first LARP. And 80% of the room raised their hands. And I teared up because I was like, y'all don't even know how your lives are about to change. And I was like, and I do. And there's other people in these rooms who do. You will not be the same after this weekend, because you're going to find things out about yourself. You're going to try things. You're going to be like, I did not know people could go make magic school over a weekend. So, and you might be listening to the like, AJ, what's College of Wizardry? And then your life is going to be changed. You're like, oh my gosh, this exists in the world. And I had them raise their hands, and I had everybody look around, and I say, if you see somebody with their hands raised, these are the people you need to pull in a game, love on, like they're new, like take care of the people around us. Everyone in this world is doing this for the first time. Maybe, maybe not, according to some people, but theoretically, we're all in this game together. Because a question I asked people after that question is, I had them go around their little circles, say one thing they were worried about in the game and one thing they were excited about. They all said that to each other. And then when we got back in our bigger group, I said, raise your hand if you've said something that you were worried about in this game. Everybody raised their hand because everybody had just said it in their group. And I said, I want you to look around and realize everyone is nervous potatoes about this game, about something. Something has every single person in this room a little bit worried, at least a little bit. And then I said, put your hands down, put your hands up if there was something you said that you were excited about for this game. And all the hands were raised up because I told them to tell people. I said, I want you to look around. Everyone in this room is excited to play with you. They're here because they want to make a beautiful story with you, because they want to build this world with you. They want to play with you. And I was like, it's important to keep in mind when we're in this game that you might be like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? And like, everybody knows more than me. That everybody had their hands up, that they were excited and nervous. If we were all honest as humans, everybody's hands would be up. Something they're worried about, something they're excited about. But they're here. They're showing up, which means every human is doing their best to the best of their ability. And some of that needs work, right? Like, we're same page about this, I know. But everybody has something they're worried about, and everybody has something they're excited about. And they're interacting with you, and you get to play. You get to build this life together. And how different would our life be if we really thought about that from that standpoint? I am playing with these people. I am making a game of this life. I'm living up. I'm living into a new way of being. Because here's the other part of that. When people have characters, sometimes they highlight a character trait that the human does not have. For example, my first game, I played Nixie, which was a magical version of myself. I mentioned this last week, but I'm bringing it back in case you didn't listen, and also because it relates and it's a good example. I was like, I want to be my full out self, full taking up the space, being loud, being magical, just delight, like letting my joy just show, because I pull it back a lot for the sake, I don't want to poke any eyes out. And I was like, what happens if I just like fully glow and just like let it rip? And that game showed me that not only could I, but people would love it. And it actually made more gameplay for other people. And I was like, well, then, okay, that's good information to know. And then I started doing that in my regular life because I had a chance to try it out someplace safe, right? And now in my life, who I am now is like multiple steps further than Nixie was back then. And Illyri a couple times ago was, what if I'm not defending my magic, my knowing, my like trust in that my soul is good? What if I just lead from that place of like, of course. And it was this such calm, grounded energy that I'm like, oh yeah. And I've been able since then to really like lean in and step into that. And that was a whole journey. But I feel like now I'm there when people are like, oh, but shouldn't you? And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, but like, here we are. Do you want to ask me a different question? And we can do this in our life because it doesn't have to be more complicated than you think. Like, what if fill in XYZ character trait you want to build? You're like, I want to be more brave, or I want to be more playful, or I want to be more joyful. Can you LARP it into your life? You do not need to go away for a weekend to try this out. Now, if you're like, hey, I want to be brave and I want to ask for a raise or something like that, like sometimes there's big things we want to cultivate and we're like, okay, but if I try this out in my regular life, like there's going to be actual impacts. This could go wrong. Look for the small ways you can try this out. Can you be brave and ask for something like directly at a restaurant and be like, you know what I would love? I would love a Dr. Pepper with a lime on it. That would be amazing. Thank you so much. And then they bring you Dr. Pepper with lime, and you're like, look at me asking for what I need. Right. And you might be like, AJ, that's such a small example. Y'all, the amount of people who do not ask for what they need in this world is a lot. It's a lot. Yes, I'm looking at you. Yeah. Person who just was like, I don't do that, but I do. But yeah, yeah. What if we started on a small level? You don't have to start at the big level. So often we're like, if I play, if I bring joy, if I gotta go full out, or I gotta be like AJ. I get that a lot. Like, AJ, I can't be like you because like you are so much, or like you take up a lot of space, or you're very colorful. That's not what I'm asking of you. I'm asking you, what's your 5% version of this, right? We know you've heard me say the dolphin thing. The dolphin swims over the bar's on the floor. What does 5% more play look like? What is the one thing you want to cultivate more of? If it's a sense of joy, if it's a sense of play for this podcast, let's keep it on play. What would 5% more playfulness look like? If you're running a business, if you're an entrepreneur like me, y'all, it's a journey. And it's so easy to get frustrated and be like, oh, it's never working or things like that. But then are we actually looking at the progress that we made? Are we celebrating that progress that we've made? Are we in community? Are we like allowing ourselves some playful with it? Like it just gets so daunting when you're like, nothing's ever working and but like go out, go see some sunlight. Go go step outside from it. Like we need to reset because if we're like trying to choke the life out of our business without being like, do I like the business I'm building? Is there joy here? Is there play here? Like what would some playfulness be like? And if you're like, AJ, you don't even understand. I've spent thousands of dollars and I've done all this stuff. Look, I'm not advocating for you closing your business. I'm advocating, I was about to say something kind of inappropriate. I'm advocating for you to get your head away from being so close that you can't see straight, to breathe for a second and ask yourself, where's playfulness here? Where is some joy? Can we breathe in some life here? Because maybe the way we've been doing something hasn't been working. And it's not that the thing is broken. It's just that we're running into a wall and we won't let ourselves move 2 feet to see a window. Does that make sense? Because so many people are like, but my feet are muddy on this journey. And I'm like, you know that building a business is like climbing a hill. We're on an adventure. We're on a messy adventure. You're gonna hit some branches. You're gonna fall in a pothole. You're gonna have a client do a chargeback. You're gonna have like these things happen. And if you can hold that, like, I'm on this journey, like, what an adventure. Like, okay, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna play. Okay, this was weird. How are we gonna celebrate? Like, do you see how when you have a different attitude of we're going on a move. I move every 3 years. Is moving my favorite? No. Is living in a new place my favorite? Yes. But the moving itself can really suck unless we bring some joy and play into it. I despise cleaning. Textures, the scents, the smells, everything. When I have to touch dishes, I can't. So I got gloves and I jam out to music and I usually watch a movie so I can exist kind of somewhere else while I do it. I make it more playful so I can do it. I used to just grin and bear it and then I'd like put it off for extra hours. But now I'm like, okay, here's my tools to make it more playful so it's easier for me to do. When I'm like cleaning my house, like today's a house reset day because I've been traveling so much, everything is a tornado. So I'm like, well, let's reset because this is too much even for me. I've been listening to music and playing and having incense and I'm wearing clothes that bring me joy. I did a client call. Now I'm doing this. Then I'm going to go back to cleaning, but I'm breaking it up. So it's playful for me. So it all feels like good energy. Does that make sense? Like it doesn't have to be so serious. So often we get so hard on ourselves and we're like, oh, it's just because I suck. And I'm like, stop. If I could just shake you. And here is my invitation for you. And if you're like watching the YouTube, this is me grabbing you by the shoulders. If you're listening, this is me energetically holding you by the shoulders. If you say to yourself, I'm just so stupid. I suck. I never do anything right. I want to invite you with all the love in my heart that when you say that, I want you to put in a comma instead of a period, because this is some energetic work we're doing. You put in a comma and say, I don't suck. I'm just learning. We're having an adventure. How do I want to do this better? Or like, oh, I'm just so bad. I suck at everything I touch. Oh, I don't suck. That was a mistake. How I'm actually really proud of myself because I tried something new that didn't work, but I learned something. Do you see how we can start interrupting our thought patterns by throwing a comma instead of a period? Like if you, because you're going to keep saying it. When we say something so often around ourselves, it's almost like on autopilot. When it comes to habits and interrupting habits, you've got to interrupt the habit and throw in a comma and say something else so that you follow it. And then you'll get to the point where you can hear yourself right before you're about to say it and be like, I suck. I don't suck. I do the thing. Or like, I feel like I suck, but I don't suck because I do the things. I don't suck, but I'm really struggling with the idea that I suck right now because this thing happened. I'm really frustrated with myself because this thing happened and that sucks. This situation sucks and I'm in the middle of it. Here's how we're going to do this differently next time. Do you see how each of those has different energetic weight of where the guilt and shame is put? But at the end, your soul is not on the judging table. It's just the situation sucks. How do I want to show up next? Okay, here's what it is. Here's where reality is. And if you want, like, okay, how can we have some joy? This reminds me of this weekend. We were all working very hard at this castle, and I was on the NPC crew, which was such a gift to be a part of, and I loved it. And we're all exhausted. And I have a little sensitive panda nervous system. We're all tired, but I am a morning person. And when I wake up, I like listening to music, I like stretching, I like moving my body, because if I don't, I'll just be like, ugh. And so it's like, okay, what are we calling in today? Like I like my intentional mornings, even when I'm around other people. So we go to breakfast and people are just like waking up, right? Everybody has this is not a judgment. I'm just sharing my experience. And someone's like, AJ, how are you so awake right now? Because I went to bed at like 3 a.m. and it was like 7:50. And I was like, it's gonna be a great day. Good morning. And they're like, yeah, but I mean, it'll be a good day, but why are what? And I'm like, we're calm. And they're like, aren't you tired? And I'm like, yes. And like, here's how we're going to bring in the day. And it's like so often we get focused on like the most obvious thing that we miss. Like we get so focused on the reality that is here that we miss the opportunity to say, okay, here's what's here. How do I want to show up through that? Not bypassing it, not being like, no, I'm not tired. Everything's great. Everything's fine. That gets a little frenetic and weird. Um, like, yeah, I'm tired. And we're gonna have a beautiful day. I'm gonna have some breakfast. I'm gonna drink some water. Like, I get to make magic today. I get to go be a goblin and hand out mail. Like, I get to sing to people and talk about potato planting season, which makes no sense to anybody except those who were there. But allowing that play into a space of reality of, yes, we are tired. And here are the things I'm doing. Not that I made anybody else listen to the music. I sent people links later, but what are we doing for ourselves to bring playfulness and joy into that? If I hadn't have done those things, I would have walked into breakfast being like, hey guys, how's it going? Because my energy would have been different. But instead, I get to bring joy with me because I'm intentionally setting myself up for joy and play. This is work and intentionality in different ways. You're showing up regardless. Either way, I'm going to eat breakfast, but breakfast feels so much better when I've danced a little and I've like moved my body a little bit and I've had my headphones in as I'm putting on my makeup and putting on my clothes and I've like did a little few stretches because now I'm 36 and my back has feelings when I sleep. But then I'm like, okay, I'm alive. Versus if I don't stretch and I'm like, oh, everything hurts, which I also do on occasion. And then I'm like, okay, I need to stretch later. Does that make sense? Like, this isn't judgment. It's just, what do you need? Don't have to be like me. What do you need? Okay. I'm looking. Okay. Along those lines, this is a whole other podcast episode, but I just want to touch on it for 2 seconds. During the game, it was Saturday at like 4, 5, and I'd done my time thing wrong, and I thought I'd have a break, but I didn't because I signed up for something. It wasn't anybody else's fault except for my fault. But I had this moment where I realized I wasn't going to get a break till 2 a.m. And I like was like, oh no, like I've made a mistake. And I was like, oh shit. Because I didn't take my nap earlier because I was excited and got distracted by something. Um, and I was like, oh no. And so I did whatever work was needed. And then we had like 30 minutes of free time. And I was like, I'm gonna go downstairs real quick to the safety. There's like an emotional safety room. Because here's where the rubber meets the road. This is why self-development and growth energy work is important. When we know ourselves, we can walk with ourselves. When we aren't in tune with ourselves, we get hijacked by whatever parts, emotions, energy, whatever's coming up. And then we're like, this is just how I'm wired, or like, I don't know what happened. But if we are in tune, we can be like, here, my warning signs are going off. Ah, there's an iceberg ahead. Okay, turn as much as we can, And I was like, my nervous system and my body is panicking because I am really tired and I thought I'd have time for a 40-minute nap. And I've only got 20 minutes before we got to go. And I'm not going to get another break till 2 a.m. And I'm totally panicking and I'm spiraling. And I'm like, okay, I'm not hungry, but I am like, oh, it was a little touch starved. So I'm like, I'm going to go downstairs. I need to cry. And I went down and I talked to Sandy. I was like, I need to cry for 10 minutes. I feel great. I'm excited about being in this game, but I'm so tired. I just need to cry for 10 minutes. Can you please play with my hair? And she was like, yes, not a problem. Cool. I cried for 10 minutes. She played with my hair and I felt better. I was like, great. I like popped up and she's like, that was quick. And I was like, I know my body. I know what I need. And she's like, yes, you do. And I put my hair back up and put my goblin hat back on and like walked up and I had a marvelous rest of the evening. And I just needed that. I needed that break. I knew what I needed energetically to get back in alignment, not for full joy, but to get centered so that I could be open for joy. Remember how we've talked about that before? That like you can't jump over. You got to come back to center. So you're like, okay, I'm here. I'm present. Okay, what do I need next? Okay, here we're going to go. So that's just my example from this weekend of like, hey, my reality was my nervous system had reached its breaking point. It was shot. Here's what I needed. I went and did that thing. And then I was able to move on. Did I have that thing for as long as I wanted? No, an hour would have been great, but I only had 10 minutes. It is what it is. But then I made it work for when later I had to take another break at 10. I went and laid down for 20 minutes, had some hot chocolate, and then I was like, okay, time to dance. And then I went and joined the dance party. Now, if I didn't know my body, if I wasn't listening, if I didn't have a level of curiosity and playfulness, I would have not listened. I would have been like, it's fine. I'm doing all this work. So is everybody else. I just need to suck it up. This is just how it is. And I would have not taken that break. I would have not gone down and asked for help. And you all know what? I would have been a not kind human to be around. Y'all like the version of me who takes care of herself. You know what? So do I. People are like, why do you always butt it out? Why do you? And I'm like, because it's the version of me that doesn't do dance breaks or dress. It just feels dull and lifeless. And I don't like it. I don't like how I feel in my body. I don't like how my energy feels. I don't like the way I interact with others because then I get resentful. I get angry. I get corncob holdery. Play and joy are the fuel I use to show up for life with a lens of hopefulness and curiosity and connectedness to spirit. When I do not bring in play and curiosity and joy, my connection to spirit is one of, why aren't you fixing this? What's the problem here? Come on, like get these people together. It's like I become God and it's like nobody needs AJ God. I have a lot of ideas. Trust. I've got a lot of ideas. Spirit knows. Spirit knows. Spirit has my list. Healthcare for all, human rights for everyone, the basics. But apparently the humans are in charge of that. So we're working on it. But the bottom line is when I don't have play and joy at the center point of my life, I get resentful, bitter, and angry. I'm not saying that's the same for you, but I am saying if you haven't thought about it yet lately, and if play seems so far away, and resentfulness and bitterness and anger and frustration and shame are circling around like sharks, play would be a very, very smart place to start for you. And play can feel very, how do you say, inaccessible sometimes, which is why dolphin, bar, floor, swim over, putting the bar on the floor. How can you play with other people? Maybe it's a board game. Maybe it's dressing up. Maybe you play with yourself. Maybe you have a little dance break. I always mention dance breaks because that's what I do. You do what you do. Maybe you play soccer. Maybe you play basketball. Maybe you play video games. I don't know what play looks like for you. Only you can know that, right? And if you're like, I don't know, cool. What an opportunity to explore. Because here's the other part of that. You don't know what you don't know until you know it. And if you're like, that's obvious, sure, but it's not. Because we think we're supposed to know the answers on how to be better in advance. And if it's like, if you knew this and what worked for you, you would be doing the thing, but we're not because you either don't know it or there's something blocking you from applying it. So if we can bring curiosity versus shame, because shame doesn't want to look at anything. Shame's like, no, no, nothing, nothing to see here. Turn away, turn away. Curiosity is like, hey, I said I wanted play and I had some free time on Saturday, but instead I just did these other things and I kind of just spiraled. Why didn't I do that? Is it because we didn't have accountability? Is it because I didn't want to set up the loom? Is it because I didn't want to go outside? Okay, then what are some other options we have that would make it easier? Because I think I have to finish the whole art project. Well, what if I just had my art supplies out in a corner so I could work on it as I go? Do you see how that's kind of like lowering the bar and getting curious on, hey, I said I wanted to do this, but I didn't. Why? Or I could never do pottery. Well, have you tried? Have you gone to an art studio? Like maybe you can paint some. Maybe you can like trying something and being bad at something is okay. We've talked about this before, but it is okay to be bad at things to get more information on like, oh, okay. This is kind of a bad example. Well, maybe. I think we talked about this last week about sometimes we try things because we don't know yet. Like there's different LARPs. There's horror LARPs, like HORROR LARPs, which are not for me. And I know this from the get-go. I'm like, absolutely not. I have friends that love them. And I'm like, I have no idea how, because I'm like, I need to sleep at night. But I love this for them. Like, go team go. And I have friends that make those LARPs. And I'm like, I'm impressed. Good job. And there's like realistic, like historical LARPs. I don't know if those are for me or not. I don't know if that's play I would enjoy. Will I do one at some point? Yes. But I'm going to go in with curiosity on like, I wonder how I'm going to like this. Like there's going to be things I enjoy and maybe things I don't. And maybe I'm like, oh, this is legit, too legit to quit. But maybe I'll be like, oh, that wasn't for me. But it's not, I was bad and that LARP was bad. It's just, oh, that didn't scratch the same itch as Magical Wizard College or being a fairy in a LARP does. Does that make sense? Like, what's that version for you of allowing yourself to explore? And if you don't know, like, start keeping an eye out. Ask Spirit, be like, hey, could you show me some opportunities for play? And y'all, you ask, Spirit listens. There will be moments and opportunities. And then your job is to follow through because so often we ask for things and then we want Spirit to also take the steps. But y'all, you're the one with the feet. You're the one with the wheels. You're the one who can take those, like, that movement forward. You are the one who has to try that out. Does that make sense? And I know sometimes it can feel like a lot and the world is a lot like, oh, trust. I left Wizard College and I came back and like NOLA has ice posters. There are whistles. There are horrors going on. There are people going missing in the streets in real time in the state I live in the country I live in. It is 1930s Germany, except it is 2025 America. There are wars going on. There's Venezuela. Like, and if you're like, AJ, I didn't want to talk about the real stuff. The real stuff is we talk about play and joy so that we have capacity, not so that, but if we just have the bad and we just focus on the bad, we don't have lives worth living. This is how we stay alive in our souls so that we're like, this is the world we're building. We do not have room for war here. We have room for soul-led conversations of how can we do better? How can we live in community? But we have to build these skills from the ground up so we can be in community together to play, to cultivate goodness, to cultivate aliveness of a world worth living for, because otherwise we have dread and doom. And then we're like, well, it's all going to be ruined anyways. Who cares? It is what it is. There's nothing I can do anyways. Do you see how that's a slippery slope? Do you see how they're actually so inextricably connected? This work isn't about bypassing. This work is about living in full alignment so that any room you walk into, you are at like your fullest self in the way that you are created to show up in the world, to help in the world. Whether that is animal advocacy or humans or just being kind. Like, oh my gosh, just kindness. There was a lady I met yesterday. I have no idea. Oh, she works in banking. She made my week. She was just delightful. And just her zesty aliveness had me like, yeah, yeah, because there's multiple of us. There's so, I mean, I just met a bunch at Alert, but sometimes when you get back to the human world, it's a lot. And it, like the way she was just existing in her body by doing nothing than just chatting with me made me feel alive and vibrant and a reminder of goodness and that we're not alone just by existing. So if you're like, well, I don't do this way, this 5%. And also remember, you have more capacity for ripples than you think. You are more ripply than you believe. You are a whole stone. You're not just a small pebble. You are a whole human, amazing and wonderfully made. So I'm proud of you. Live your best life, and we will chat soon. Sing your soul song, friends.